Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Have a cedar repair project for a house exterior on a porch, screen porch, and you can see the rot exposed on the trim boards, and you can see some staining on the nails there, which led me to believe there was more rot than what you could see there, which you'll soon find out there was a lot more. So pop that bottom piece off and just expose a little bit of the framing underneath. It was not in very good shape, and there's a piece of OSB plywood, which was just the sheathing in behind that piece of cedar that I popped off, and you can see it's just completely disintegrated. So starting to pop the boards here to see what we're dealing with, and you can see just the framing members just starting to flake away. On that particular piece, the OSB was rotten up 3.5, 4 feet. In the center section, about a third of the 2x4s were still sound all the way through, but the ones on either side that I've got exposed there were just absolutely destroyed. So there you can see there the hole at the bottom where the 2x4 is just absolutely gone. A little surprised that the porch wasn't framed with pressure treated, given the fact that it was exposed to the weather 24/7, and it being in the Northeast, a lot of snow, a lot of wet, kind of asking for trouble. And these were not the original homeowners, but they said that the porch was built about 15 years ago, so not great that it's in this bad a shape. There was cinder block as the foundation with a 2x10 pressure treated on top that I'm pointing to now, but you can see that 2x4 there in the front is okay. There was a second one towards the outside, which is, you can see, is just completely gone. So I'm okay keeping that front 2x4. That was okay. But the framing is going to have to be spliced in. So I'm going to cut out the rot and splice in new 2x4s with pressure treated, just for good measure. And then I'll replace that entire 1x12 cedar sill in one piece. So I'm constructing a temporary wall with 2x6s on the inside, just as a precaution as I demo that center pillar. So just 2x4 bottom plate, 2x4 top plate, and then just hammered in 3 2x6s just in front of that center column or pillar. So there you can see it there. Just a precaution, but obviously better to be safe than sorry. And now we're starting in on the removal of the rot. Just cut the sheathing up to where it was clean. And I've cut out the rotten part. Now I'm going up quite a bit higher on either side to stagger the joint. And now there's my new 2x4 pressure treated bottom plate. And I'm going to start with the center section and the two sections on either side. And I just pulled a chalk line from one stud to the other to give me a reference, which you can see here. And that allowed me to put that center section perfectly in line with either end. So I've secured that bottom plate with, and starting in on the rebuilding of that center column. So the four pieces wound up all being attached to each other, and the upper portion of the column, and then obviously toe screwed into the bottom plate. Just showing the level for plumb, and we are good to go. So one section down. And like I said, this section was especially bad for whatever reason, so I had to go up 3.5, 4 feet here. But same thing, just staggering it, and pressure treated 2x4, connected to each other, connected to the good portion of the remaining stud, and then toe screwed into the pressure treated bottom plate. This particular section gave me fits a little bit. I couldn't get it plumb for whatever reason. So I had to do some adjustments, but worked out good. So I've got those three center sections reframed. So now you can see I've put that pressure treated piece on that trim board. That just gives me a reference point and a straight edge to run my circular saw across, so I can get a nice sharp straight line to repair that corner board. And same thing, just cutting out that rotten OSB up a couple of feet, cutting out the rot, on the 2x4s with a combination of circular saw, multi-tool. Putting down that corner section of bottom plate, pressure treated. Just had a notch around the anchor bolts from the block up through the bottom plate. There you can see there the notch on the 2x4 pressure treated. Yeah, so using a Sawzall here to get some straight lines. Obviously measuring and then adding a 1/16 or so that the repair pieces fit in nice and snug. Just checking for level and plumb, and one corner to go. So there again you can see the 2x4 as a reference. Gives me a nice clean cut with the circular saw. Same thing as the other side, putting in that last piece of bottom plate. I had to notch around the anchor bolt. And with that, the framing repair is complete. Felt good to have that done, as although this is a porch, there is a first and second story above, so that the fact that the framing was in such bad shape didn't make me feel great. So I'm happy to get it back nice and sound again. Now onto the replacement of the sheathing. Okay, here's that inside piece, 14 feet long, taking down the temporary wall, bringing it in for a measurement length, and also marking for where I'm going to be notching around those 3 center framing members. Just marking it up with a combination square. Circular saw wasn't working, so just using the multi-tool. Just getting all the debris out of the way to get that piece in and installed. One by 12 by 16 that piece was. I won't tell you how much it cost. So now just working on reconstructing the screen sections. So 1 by 6 rough sawn cedar cut to length and then ripped to the appropriate width. I think it was 4.5 for the jambs. And then the screen was just held in place, basically stapled to the outside of the inside stop, and then another outside stop on the outside to hide the staples. You'll see that later in the video. So the leftover ripped piece from the 1 by 6 to make the 4.5 or 4 3/4 inch jamb was used for the stops that the screen was attached to, so that worked out good. Very little waste as far as lumber, which was great because the cedar was insanely expensive. So just checking the jambs for plumb, and then I'm finishing up that repair on the last trim piece on that window there. You can see adhesive caulk on the end grain, and then I textured it on the surface a little bit just to match the texture of the cedar. I'm pulling out that other screen section and starting with the jambs on that window opening. So there you can see I'm putting the inside stop on that window jamb there, and that's where the screen will be stapled to. You'll see again later in the video. Just finishing up the repair on that outside corner. Again, same thing. Adhesive caulk on the end grain before you attach it, and then some caulk on the outside of the splice, and textured a little bit to match the cedar. And onto the jambs of window opening number 3 here, so moving along pretty well. A lot of work, a lot of measuring, a lot of cutting. And there's the last window opening. About to get jammed up. Important to have those jambs perfectly plumb so that when you put those face pieces of trim on, you get an even reveal on either side. Just doing those 2 bottom pieces there, you can see. At either corner. So the exterior construction is complete for the most part, minus the screen install, but there you can see the sill is all one piece, and you can see the stops, which was basically 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch that were installed on the jambs, and that's what the screen will get attached to. So here I'm just measuring for those panels. That's a piece of 3/8 inch rough sawn birch, I believe it was. They don't make rough sawn cedar, not where I'm living anyway. But this is fine, it had the texture on it. And exterior grade, so all set. So when I said a few seconds ago that the exterior construction was complete, that wasn't quite right. Just caulking the holes in the seams on the panels. And now we're on to those last 3 sections of the face trim there. Felt good to have those 3 pieces up and get the Tyvek covered up. Felt like I was close. Yeah, so now I'm putting that inside stop on the sill there in all 4 of those openings. And now I'm taking down the original outside stop, which I was using just as a reference point to locate the replacement pieces on either side and the bottom. And the inside stop remained, was untouched. So just had to replace all 8 vertical pieces and then the bottom pieces. Putting that last section up, and it's starting to look like a finished wall. And there's my replacement screen. It was a 3 feet by 25 feet roll, and the openings were between 32 and 34 inches, and just under 6 feet tall. So that 3 feet by 25 foot roll was absolutely perfect. I had maybe a foot left over. So you can see I just, started in one corner, gave it just a little bit of tension. You don't want to put too much tension on it or else you'll get wrinkles. But yeah, just a little bit of tension, and went across the top, then down one side, down the other, and then across the bottom. And it's a charcoal screen, and nearly invisible, obviously. Unfortunately, you'll see near the end of the video, I had to put some plexiglass panels up, which the previous homeowner had as a protection mechanism for the furniture during the winter months, which don't look great, but I guess they serve a purpose. So now on to installing the outside stop, which covers up the staples from the screen being attached to the inside stop. So I'll do the 4 windows, verticals on either side, and then run 4 more outside stops along the sill, bottom, and then the outside construction will be complete. I was able to reuse all of the surface trim pieces from the inside. So just putting some clean edges on the other side before I reinstall them. But you can see it's a great porch. And you'll be able to see here in a second the one-piece sill, 14 feet long, no seams, which I was happy I was able to put in. The old sill had a seam in it, which didn't look great. Just a little cleanup here before I paint / stain the cedar, and we'll call it a wrap. I think you can just make out the screen material there, but just putting down some blue tape on that stone sill. I had to use a 3/4 inch nap roller, obviously, to paint the texture of the rough sawn cedar. And I am in shorts. It's November 3rd in upstate New York, and it was 74 degrees that day. I don't believe this paint was an exact match, which you can probably see, but the homeowner had it and was perfectly fine with using it. So we're just about wrapped up here. So hey, if you liked the video or found it helpful or useful, leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe. Got new content coming out at least every couple of weeks, depending on the size and scope of the project or if it's interesting. But appreciate you watching, and thanks.